Welcome to Teaching Training Sessions 2021, our 8th TTS, second one in an online format, organized by Sección de Idiomas, Facultad de Humanidades, with the sponsorship of the United States Embassy and ICEBREAKER. We appreciate all the efforts to make TTS 2021 possible again. We are pleased to welcome Magister Ervin Osorio, representative from the Board of Directors from FAUSAC, Dr. Francisco Puac, Head of the Languages Section at FAUSAC, Diana Braunschweig, Cultural Affairs Officer from the United States Embassy in Guatemala, Magister Rodrigo Martinez, Technical Coordinator of the English programs in the United States Embassy, and Licenciada María Andrea Chang, Director from ICEBREAKER. Magister Esther Tesawick, Rosy Lopez, and Erika Arresis, members of the Organization Committee for TTS 2021. Now, Magister Ervin Osorio will address you in representation of Magister Walter Mazariegos Violis, Dean from Facultad de Humanidades, Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala. Welcome, Magister Osorio.
Tengo el honor de representar al señor decano de la Facultad de Humanidades, maestro Walter Ramiro Mazariegos Violis, en este momento tan importante para todos nosotros. Es decir, no se cierra este júbilo de trabajo en sección de idiomas, en donde están ustedes felizmente trabajando. Es un logro específico de la Facultad de Humanidades. Honorables señores, doctora Diana Braunschweig, oficial de Asuntos Culturales de la Embajada de los Estados Unidos de Guatemala, maestro Rodrigo Martínez, coordinador técnico de programas de la Embajada de los Estados Unidos de Guatemala, licenciada María Andrea Chang, directora de la Asociación de Becarios del Departamento de Estado de Estados Unidos. El Congreso para Profesores del Idioma Inglés surge en el año 2013 como una iniciativa de la sección de idiomas de los profesores en su momento, y el señor decano de la Facultad de Humanidades, dirigida a egresados, a profesores, a profesionales del sector público y privado. Se inicia en el año 2014 en alianza con la Embajada de los Estados Unidos para acercar este servicio a los departamentos de Huehuetenango, Sololá, Cobán, Chiquimula y Quetzaltenango. El programa está estructurado de una manera eficaz y felizmente efectivizado a través de la confrontación de ideas de buenos participantes. El fruto ha sido cristalizado a través de 520 participaciones en acciones simultáneas. El programa cuenta con una serie de estrategias formidables. Yo quisiera marcar ello porque cuenta con una serie de estrategias formidables educadoras que sirven para acercar el programa que ustedes dirigen a los departamentos en mención. Es una propuesta loable en nombre de Junta Directiva y del señor decano de la facultad. Les quiero felicitar porque es un esfuerzo continuado. Porque resulta ser que es un esfuerzo en donde ustedes han hecho lo posible por acercar el idioma inglés tan importante y fundamental en las comunicaciones. El inglés es fundamental. No puede ser diferente. No puede ser marginal. Está en la consonancia realmente articulada de las comunicaciones internacionales. Y es bueno abrir las puertas de un segundo idioma en cada una de las comunidades rurales del país. De ahí que, a nombre del señor decano de la Facultad de Humanidades, a quien me honro en representar, les felicito y doy por inaugurado este proyecto del idioma inglés que va a ser traspasado en todas las culturas, en toda la geografía de este país. Mis felicitaciones para todos ustedes. Felicitaciones al doctor Francisco Puac. Felicitaciones a la señora María Esther Tezahuic, a María Luisa Fernanda Ramos, a otros compañeros que están también en este proyecto. Muchas gracias por tu atención y que Dios les bendiga.
Thank you very much, Magister Osorio. We will now have a special message prepared by Diana Braunschweig, Cultural Affairs Officer from the United States Embassy in Guatemala.
Hello, everybody. It is so great to be with all the English teachers here today, representing departments across Guatemala. I am very proud to say the United States Embassy has supported 7 of 8 teaching training sessions, TTS, organized by the Facultad de Humanidades de la Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala. For this alliance, I must congratulate the many hardworking FAUSAC organizers, represented by Dean Mazariegos and Director Puac. Today, we come together, albeit via this virtual platform, to celebrate the beginning of the 2021 FAUSAC TTS. Today, we recognize how much the sessions have grown since 2014. Today, around 1,000 teachers are able to participate in 7 departments and the most important sessions here in the FAUSAC TTS. The United States Embassy, through our Public Affairs section, is pleased to support initiatives such as this one. TTS promotes prosperity for small communities and for the country of Guatemala as a whole, through education that benefits thousands of students, through the growth of teachers who participate, learn, and share best practices in these sessions. I'm sure you will enjoy the planned activities and workshops, and I'm also eager to read about your experiences and how you apply what you will be learning in the days ahead. Wishing you a wonderful experience. Thank you for listening, and manos a la obra.
And now, Dr. Francisco Puac, head from the languages section, also has a special message for all of you. Welcome, Dr. Puac.
Thank you, Magister Ramos. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our teaching training in TTS. It's a great honor for me to greet you, and I appreciate your attendance to this activity. I would like to thank Master Erwin Osorio, representing our Dean Walter Mazariegos, as well for his support to our academic training activities. To Mrs. Diana Brown-Schuing, Master Rodrigo Martinez, Licenciada María Andrea Chang, Master Luisa Fernanda Ramos, Master Esther Tesau, and all the organizing team for the TTS to take place today. I would like to appreciate the support of the authorities, the people of our Faculty of Humanities, University of Guatemala. I appreciate the attendance of all teachers of the languages section and around the speakers, students, and public learning more for a better understanding and performance in their teaching, despite the circumstances that to be the COVID-19 pandemic. We as teachers are eager to receive those conferences, workshops, and knowledge to update, to become better professors, tutors, and mentors to guide our students in a better of learn and teach. This activity wouldn't be possible without the effort of a teamwork at different institutions such as the American Embassy, the Faculty of Humanities, and others to make this activity a reality to foster the abilities and skills of the teaching learning process of the English language in our country, Guatemala. So I welcome you and please enjoy our TTS 2021. God bless you.
Thank you, Doctor. Finally, we have some special instructions for all of you. 10 minutes before each conference finishes, you will find the attendance form link in the YouTube chat. Please make sure to fill it in and send it. A diploma will be given for each conference you attend. They will be available from June 12th for 30 days in the faculty's website. The link will also be shared in the YouTube chat, and you can already find it in the description for each of the conferences. You can check the list of conferences with links and QR codes on isu.com. We will be sharing the link with you in the YouTube chat as well. Remember that we have 2 simultaneous conferences at 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. today, tomorrow, and on Wednesday. The links to all of the transmissions will be also shared in our Facebook fan page, Sección de Idiomas USAC, so please follow us there. And don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channels to get notifications of the live transmissions. We also want to thank the Embassy from the United States and AHEDE, because this year we had the opportunity of creating materials in collaboration with the Embassy. We created some materials with also the collaboration of some former students from the section, and they will be available also for you. They will be shared in all of the conferences in the YouTube chat so that you can have access and you may download these materials that we hope you find very useful for your teaching practice. Welcome again to TTS 2021. Now we will start with the first simultaneous conferences. You may stay in this channel for Let's Talk About Classroom Assessment by Rosie Lopez. Or you can go to the TTS Conferences channel for the conference Students Participation in Online Classes by Giselle Guzman. So we hope you enjoy TTS 2021 on June 7th, 8th, and 9th. Thank you and welcome again.
Welcome again. So we are so excited to begin. It is a little bit earlier, but we are going to start with this first conference. As we were saying, we are so excited to have all of you here, and we really hope that you enjoy these first conferences. Remember, we have 2, so you can stay in this one with me for talking about classroom assessment, or you can go to the other one. You're free to choose. We are all going to be learning a lot in both conferences. So we are going to start. This is a workshop, remember, so we are going to be participating. Okay, so participation is key. Remember about that. We are going to be having lots of activities. Meanwhile, we are going to be going through this workshop, okay? So I'm going to start sharing my screen. I would like the access, please, to share the screen so that we can begin. And there are some important notes. In the description of this video, you're going to be finding some links. They are going to be shared in the chat, but you can take them from there or from the description, okay? So all of the different links that we are going to be using for this workshop are there, so make sure to check them and to use them, all right? Okay, thank you. So there we go. So as we were saying, this is Let's Talk About Classroom Assessment. My name is Rosie Lopez, and I am super excited to be sharing in this TTS 2021 with all of you. We are going to start today's workshop with what we are going to be covering, so we have it clear, all right? So maybe you're still unsure whether to stay here or go to the other conference. So let's just go over the main topics that we are going to be discussing so that you can convince or change your mind. You decide, it's fine. Remember, we are learning in both conferences, so that's perfect. So what is it that we are going to be talking about? First, we're going to be clarifying the term assessment. That's something important because I don't know if it has happened to you, but for me at the very beginning, this specific word was like really confusing. So we are going to be clarifying the term assessment. We are going to be understanding the main purposes of assessment. We are going to be discovering some CATs. I hope that you know what they are. And if you don't, it's fine because we're going to be still checking all of them. We are going to be making the connection to our real context. Okay, so you're going to be connecting these CATs that we are going to be checking with your classrooms, and we are going to be participating in some CATs. Okay, so that's basically how this workshop is going to be going through and how we are going to cover it. So get ready, get excited because this is TTS 2021 and we are ready to begin. Okay, so this is interactive again. Participation is key. You can find the links for participation in the description or they will be shared in the chat as well. Okay, so we are going to start with the procedures. How is this going to be interactive and how is it that you're going to be participating? Well, we are going to be initiating this Canva Live. Okay, so you can connect to Canva Live so that you can ask your questions here and we can check them, all right, like together. So if you would like to join Canva Live, that's great. If not, you can still participate in the YouTube chat, all right? So the chat or Canva Live, you decide. Okay, so this is what we are going to be sharing in the chat right now with you. This is the invitation for the Canva Live, or you can, again, stay in the YouTube chat, all right? Every time I ask the question, how are we doing? That's important. How are we doing? We are going to be answering with these 3 colors, okay, or letters, all right? So the colors or the letters, you decide. So if you are not doing so good, that means the terms are not clear or you have too many questions, you're going to use red or RD, okay? So that means you're going to be letting me know that we need a little bit more insight, okay, in what we are discussing. If you use color yellow or YW, that means it's clear, but you need a little bit more of explanation, all right? So that's yellow. And green or GN, that means I'm good, we can move on because I know everything that we are talking about. So you're going to be checking the temperature check. So those are the colors. Remember, red, yellow, or green. Maybe you're asking to yourself, how am I going to use an emoji if I'm in a computer? Well, that's why we're writing it here because you can copy and paste. So you can use them in a computer. And if you're in your cell phone, that's great because you just need to use your emojis from yourself. All right. So that is how this is going to work. We are going to be checking our temperature every now and then. And you need to use red, yellow, or green, or the letters RD, YW, or GN. All right. Okay. We are going to be using Canva Live or YouTube's live chat. We are going to have some additional resources and we are going to have some real interaction. This real interaction is going to happen through what we are going to be doing and also your notes. Okay, so it would be really nice if you could take notes, whether in your computer or handwritten, you decide. The point of taking notes is that we are going to be sharing our notes at the end of the conference. So all of us are going to be uploading what we took as notes into a folder. So all the attendees to this conference are going to get them at the end, right? So that is what we are going to be doing. We are going to be sharing this link for the folder so you can upload your picture at the end of the conference as well. And in this same folder, you're going to be finding this presentation. Okay, so what's the point of taking notes if you're having the presentation? Well, the point of taking notes is that we are making inferences. It's not only what I'm going to be sharing in the presentation, but what you are going to understand. And that special understanding that is going to come from each of you smart teachers, that is what is going to give this conference, special importance. Okay, so thank you to the ones who are already participating in this Canva Live. And remember, if you're not here, simply use the YouTube live chat because I'm checking both. Okay, I'm checking both. All right, so we are going to start with our conference. But first, how are we doing? I would like to read you. Please use our code. Use our temperature check. How are we doing? How are we doing? Use our temperature check. Excellent. I love to read all of you. That's great. So right now we are GN, right? We are GN. Perfect. So that means we can move on. Okay. All right. Excellent. Remember, we are going to be reading you. So it's important that you check it. All right. That you check it. Canva Live is still active. I just want to make my presentation a little bit bigger, but we are going to be checking it simultaneously. All right. So as we were saying, let's talk about classroom assessment. But first, we are going to complete a form so we can know what is it that we are going to be talking about. So I would love to read you. Please participate in the form. Remember, this form is in the description. And also, we are going to be sharing it in the chat right now. All right, so you can take the link from the description. It is the first one. It is a Google form. And you are going to be answering questions with me. Okay, so make sure to answer some questions. All right, answer the questions. What are these questions? Let's read them. So it says, share something. Welcome to our workshop. First things first, how you're feeling right now. So that is the first thing that we are going to be sharing. How is it that we are feeling right now? You can choose more than one because, we are going to be feeling more than one probably. So you have excited, curious, bored, tired, grateful. Those are the options, so you can choose more than one. We have share the obvious, how you like being called. Well, this is important because I'm not asking for your name, right? Because my name is Rosie, spelled Rossy. But if you ask my students, like, what's your name? Or my students' parents, what's my name? They are going to say Miss Rosie, spelled spelled R-O-U-S-I, right? So that's Miss Rosie for them, right? So that's my teacher's nickname. So I would like you to write how your students call you and you like being called, because sometimes they call you things you don't like being called. So that's not the one that we want. We are going to be sharing the one that we like being called, all right? So that's number 2. Number 3, a random question. What's your favorite emoji? All right, so your favorite emoji, just write it there. Well, don't write the emoji, just put it there, right? Add the emoji in here. And with the end in mind, the completion of this quote. So share the completion of this quote. Teaching without learning is, you have to write one word, only one, all right? And finally, share, because of human connection, a picture of you. What? A picture of me? What's going on? Well, I would like to see who I'm interacting with, because you can see my face, but I don't know who you are. So I would love to see your picture, but if you don't want to share it, it's fine. Okay, you don't have to. You can simply click submit. So we are going to start with this first activity. Please make sure to answer all the questions, and we are going to be checking the answers in a minute. In the meantime, you're completing the form. let me just ask you about this activity. How are we doing? How are we doing? So make sure to use the temperature check, all right? If you have any questions, you can ask them. Use the form that was shared. Okay, this is the form that we are using for this activity. Okay, and send your answers. Send your answers, please. Send your answers, send your answers. Okay, thank you. Thank you to everyone. All right, so we have many excited, many curious, many bored. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. We're going to change that. We're going to change that. Many who are tired. Yeah, I understand that. But, you know, you're here, so you're going to be getting the energy that you need, hopefully. And then you can go and rest because we all need a good rest. And we have grateful, many of you who are grateful. That's great. Who are the teachers here with me? I have Amy, Flor, Steph or Teffy, Salvita. Okay, that's good. Teacher. Okay, all right. Mr. Teacher. Yeah, that can happen. Carino, Miss Lourdes, Erica. Happy Face. Do they call you Happy Face? Okay, that's good. Interesting. Stephanie, Bea, I guess, right? Or B. Okay. Teacher, again, we have two teachers, you know, so you're twins because your students like to call you teachers, okay? Helen Ocaña. Wow. Okay, well, I don't know if I would like my students to call me by my full name, but it's okay. It's okay. Everything is valid, right? That's good. Noemi, Conejo, all right. Miss Morales, Sandra, Noe. Okay, that's good. That's excellent. What's your favorite emoji? So we have so many different ones. Oh, and we have also ones that are the same. So that's great. Excellent. Teaching without learning is bored, not enough, sad for the world, talking, waste of time, boring, irrelevant, not learning, talking, waste. Okay. All right. Very good. Oh, and I see your pictures. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your pictures. It's so nice to see some familiar faces. That's great. And some new faces, too. So nice to meet you. Again, my name is Rosie, and we are going to be sharing in this conference called Let's Talk About Classroom Assessment. So thank you so much for your responses in the form. We are going to continue. In the meantime, others are completing the form. I would like us to read and start this workshop with this quote. So, what does it say? The philosophy behind assessment for learning is that assessment and teaching should be integrated into a whole. It comes from recognizing how much learning is taking place in the common tasks of the school day and how much insight into students' learning teachers can mine from this material. So this is really what we are going to be talking about. Assessment and teaching integrated into a whole. What is it and how is it that assessment can do this, right? So that is what we are going to be discussing. And some of you were right. The actual quote is teaching without learning is talking, right? If your students are not learning, you're not knowing, or you're not checking how is it that they are learning and how much are they learning, then we're just talking. And we don't want to be just talking. We want to be teaching so that they can learn, all right? So that is what we are going to be discussing. I would like to ask you, how are we doing? So are you okay? Are you ready? Are you excited? How are we doing? Use the temperature check. Remember, okay, use the temperature check. If you would like the codes, they are in the description. Remember about that. Okay, temperature check. All right, okay, so we have green, right? Green, okay, excellent. Very good, very good. All right, we are going to show the Canva code. The Canva code again. Excellent. All right. Okay, these questions about the diploma and everything, they are going to be answered at the end, okay? The diploma is going to be getting to you whenever you sign in at the end of the workshop. All right. Okay, so we are doing green. Excellent. This is the code. Remember? All right, code 069296. Okay. All right. Very good. Excellent. So let's talk about classroom assessment. So remember, you need to take notes because we are going to be sharing the notes from every attendee at the end of this workshop so we can have all the inferences in just one place. All right. So we are going to start this conference by clarifying the term assessment. Remember, that was the first thing in mind. So clarifying the term assessment. When we talk about assessment, we usually get a little bit confused with evaluation. So we don't actually understand like the difference between assessing and evaluating, and they both look so similar and we don't know how to do it. So that's what we are going to be clarifying, right? What is assessment? What is to assess? Because we are going to be checking classroom assessment, right? So this is assessment. In simple words, we are going to get our new concept from this workshop, and it's going to be really simple. Assessment is going to be your classroom research, that feedback that is coming from your students. And that's important because what is going to be evaluation? Evaluation is also going to be feedback, but the feedback is going to come from who? From the teacher, right? So, okay, assessment is going to be this feedback coming from the student. And evaluation is going to be this feedback coming from the teacher. So it sounds easy, but still it doesn't clarify it very well. So we are going to check a little bit deeper into these concepts. Assessment is going to be this guide for your students towards learning, right? The whole process towards learning. And you're assessing not only the knowledge, right? Because you, of course, are going to be checking how much are they learning about this topic that you just taught today in class. Yes, but you're not only doing that with assessment. You're also checking skills. You're also checking beliefs. You're also checking behaviors. You're also checking attitudes. So that is to assess what your students are going to tell you about how they are doing, not only about the knowledge that you're sharing with them, but about their feelings, about their skills, about everything that is involved in your classroom. Remember, the main point, and that's why I asked you for the picture, in a classroom is to understand that we are a community and that you care about your students, not only on how well they are advancing in the knowledge that you're sharing, but also in how they feel, in how they behave, in how they can, share what is it that is going on, not only in their classes, but in their lives with you. All right. So we are going to be assessing and evaluating. Today, we're going to be focusing in assessment, but still for us to understand the difference, we are going to be checking a little bit about evaluation. So assessment is going to be this constructive feedback that is going to come from your students. Remember, your students are going to tell you, this is what I don't know. This is what I need. This is what I don't understand. This is, Meanwhile, evaluation is going to be judging the ability. So, okay, here you have this test, please complete it, right? And they complete it, and then you say, okay, you got this one's right, this one's wrong. So this is what you don't know, right? So this is the feedback that you're going to be giving to your student. Evaluation. Assessment is what they are going to be letting you know that they are having, struggling with. So that is going to be assessment. You're going to be motivating for improvement. That is what is going to happen with assessment, with the whole process. Meanwhile, with evaluation, you're going to be determining mastery. So this is what you know. So you have, it's summative, which means that you're going to be giving a grade most of the time in evaluation. So, okay, you're in a 75%, you're in a 65%, you're in a 50%, right? Determining mastering. Assessment, in one hand, is going to be ongoing. So you do it today, you do it tomorrow, you do it in 2 weeks, you do it, that's how you do it. You do it all the time. However, evaluation is going to close this process. So this is what we learned. Here we finish, we evaluate. All right, okay, so this is the result. Assessment, however, is going to continue after that. Okay, so this is what I know. This is what I'm going to do next so that we can know more information, right, about our students, what they are going to be letting us know. We are going to be identifying needs. That's what we do with assessment. We identify needs so we can determine our next steps, right? So the student told me, wrote, did this to represent what he's having or what she's going through. So this is what I'm going to do about it. Now, in evaluation, you determine effectiveness and you report the results. Okay, so this is what we got. Right? This is what we got. And of course, you're going to determine what to do next in terms of your knowledge, right? And the course material, but not in the terms of how their learning is walking, right? So that is what we are going to have in mind. Assessment is going to be giving you these insights about your students, not only from their knowledge, but from their whole student being. Meanwhile, evaluation is only going to be reporting results, right? Giving you the time to judge how their ability is going and determining their mastery. All right? Okay, that is with assessment and evaluation. So how are we doing? Tell us in the chat. How are we doing? Remember, assessment is going to come from students. Evaluation comes from us. And what is it that is coming? Feedback. Feedback is coming from students and from teachers, right? Towards a specific point. Knowledge, skills, behaviors in the case of assessment. And in evaluation, mostly about knowledge, right? Mostly about knowledge. You can evaluate skills, but at the end, whenever you're evaluating skills, whenever you're evaluating behaviors, you're only going to report the results, right? So we mostly don't go into that part with evaluation. We stay in assessment, right? That is what we do. Okay, so I see green, all right? GN, that's good, that's good. Let's check in Canva. How is it that we're doing? All right, if we have other questions. All right, okay, excellent. Perfect, so assessment and evaluation, right? That is what we have. That's assessment. But now we are going to move on to what we are supposed to talk about today, which is classroom assessment, right? Not only assessment, but classroom assessment. So what do we need to know about classroom assessment? When we focus on classroom assessment, we are going to be checking what our students have learned, but also how much they are learning and understanding when we're teaching, right? Not only when we finish teaching, but in the process in which we are developing the lesson. And how is their participation being effective, right? So you imagine this as a connection. Classroom assessment is going to have this connection between what they are getting, meanwhile they are getting it, how is it that is happening, and how effective is this participation in the whole process. So that is classroom assessment. And that is something that we need to do. Not only that we want to do it, because of course we all want to do it, but that we need to do it so that the process is effective, that the process goes in the proper way, right? So that is classroom assessment. What is classroom assessment? Like, what are the characteristics of these classroom assessments so that we can do it? Well, first is going to be learner-centered, right? So what does this mean? You're going to be paying attention to what the students need, to what the students are requiring. You're not going to be paying attention to what you're doing. Of course, we need to take in consideration what we're doing too, but what they can report from what you're doing, right? So it's going to be learner-centered, teacher-directed, because of course you're going to determine the techniques that you're going to be using. Which are the ones that are going to be the best for your students? They are going to be mutually beneficial, right? So It's going to benefit you because you're going to be getting what is it that they are struggling with so you can take the next steps. But it's also going to be beneficial for them because they are going to be evaluating their own process and being aware of what is it that they are getting and what is it that they are not feeling so good with. So they are going to be benefited too. It's going to be formative, right? So you're not going to be giving a grade for this activity or assessing and then saying, no, that was incorrect, or what's wrong with you? That's not okay. No, it's going to be formative. So you're going to be checking it and reporting it and going towards what their need is. Like what they are saying they need is what you're going to go after, right? So it's formative. It's context specific because you're going to be designing it according to your classroom, according to your students. Okay, these students need assessment in this part. These students need a little bit more of assessment in this other area. So you're going to be defining it according to the group, even according to each student, because that is like the magic and the power of assessment. You're going to be able to individualize it. So that is context specific. Ongoing, because you don't do it today and then you do it in 3 months, right? Of course, you decide like how frequently you're going to be doing it, but you can do it today, you can do it tomorrow, you can do it next week, you can do it every Monday, you can do it all through the process. So it's going to be ongoing. And finally, it's going to be rooted in good teaching practice. So classroom assessment is going to happen so that the process is complete, so that your students are good, you're good, the knowledge is being shared in the proper way, and that they are also feeling okay with the class. They are participating because they want to and because they feel they can do it, because the whole environment is good for them to do it, right? So it's going to be classroom assessment in each classroom is going to be different. That is what we need to have in mind. So maybe I'm going to be sharing some techniques today that are not going to work for your students. That's okay. The point and the magic is that you are able to put it into practice according to what you need and what your students are going to be requesting. All right. What is it that we do with classroom assessment? First, we plan. So we are going to plan what is it that we are going to do. Then we implement. So we go with the activity and we are so happy with our students and we share. After that, we analyze. So what is it that they reported? What is the feedback that they gave to me? And finally, we respond. It's not only like, yeah, I am reading the feedback. This is what they said. Yeah, this is what they said. And now let's share. Right? This is what you said. I want to know, why is it happening? How can it be improved? Right? We respond so that the cycle is complete. Right? Classroom assessment happens in this cycle. We plan, we implement, then we analyze, and finally we respond. So we can close and we can continue. Right? That's the cycle for classroom assessment. Okay. All right. So again, how are we doing with classroom assessment? Is it clear? Do you need more examples? Do you have questions? Remember, this is, let's talk about classroom assessment. So please write it in the chat. Okay, I'm going to be reading it. Okay, all right, so I see green. I see green. All right, I have a question. Okay, so we have this question from Erica. Thank you, Erica. So we can say quizzes are an example of assessments. What is the answer to that? It depends, because you can do a quizzes, right? You can do a quizzes, a Kahoot, any type of quiz, or you can do a written quiz, right? That you're going to be checking, okay, this is what we get from the lesson. Let's do it really fast. All right. So it's a 1-minute quiz. Everybody give their papers out. Okay. If you're delivering a grade and that's it, the quiz is done. Okay, let's move on to the next activity. That's not going to be assessment, right? That quiz is going to be evaluation, because you're grading it first. And second, You are not responding, right? You're not completing the cycle. However, if this quiz, right, might not be graded, might be graded, okay, everybody got a 100%, excellent, you completed it. Even if you had incorrect ones, you're going to be analyzing and then responding and then working more activities with that quiz, then it's going to be assessment, right? So that is how it works. Remember, it's not only one thing that we can, okay, this is what you need to do. Ah, yes, you know. No, you don't know. All right, let's move on, right? That's not what you're doing in assessing, right? You are evaluating in that part because you're reporting results. That's it. However, when we are assessing, we are checking and we are understanding and we are moving towards, solving that problem that was brought to our attention in that assessment. That can be a quiz, yes, right? Some questions, a survey, some little exercise that they have to complete, of course, but as long as we check the results and we share those results with them so we can come to a conclusion and to close this cycle, right? Okay, free practice exercise in a plan is part of assessment, of course, because we are not necessarily grading what they are doing, and they are going to be responding with what they know, of course, right? Remember that is like your free practice is going to be, of course, assessing, but in this case, content, knowledge. But assessment goes more than just through content and knowledge, right? Thank you, Flor, for the question. That was Flor's question, by the way. So yes, the free practice can be part of assessment, but in this case, you're going to be assessing knowledge only. And assessment goes more or forward than just in knowledge, right? It goes into skills, it goes into behaviors, attitudes. That's what we get. Okay, very good. Thank you for your question. So let's continue because we are done with classroom assessment. And the majority of us, I don't know you, but whenever I go to a workshop, I say, yeah, the theory is nice because we get to know it, but mostly I need the techniques. I need the practice. How is it that I'm going to make this happen, right? So that is what we are going to go next, all right? So don't worry, we are going to go to the techniques and the specific activities, some, because there are many that you can start applying with assessment. Okay, as I was telling you, classroom assessment will be related to more than just knowledge, more than just content. It's going to be related to values, to attitudes, to skills, to self-awareness, right? Even to your learner's reaction to instruction. Like if they are feeling good to the way you're teaching, what are you saying? They have to feel good. Well, they won't necessarily feel good. So that's what we assess because we want to know if they are feeling comfortable, if they are feeling happy, if they are feeling like this is a safe environment to learn in. And if that's happening, awesome, we can move on. But if that's not happening, that's why assessment is going to be that helper so that we can fix this part because that's an important impact. That has an important impact on your students' learning process, right? How is it that they are feeling with you? Do they have a connection? If they don't, probably the reception is not going to be the same. All right, okay, so knowledge and skills, because the majority of cases, and we have to be honest, we need to focus on this part. Not only because, of course, we want them to know, but also because that's what we are required, right, from our administrators. Like they know if they are asked a question that they can answer that question. So yes, we are going to focus on that, but also on the other part that sometimes can be left out. What is it that we work with these classroom assessment techniques in terms of knowledge and skills? Well, first, the prior knowledge, how they can recall, how they are understanding, but also how they analyze. How is it that their critical thinking is working? Their creative thinking, their problem solving. How can they apply it and perform with that knowledge? Because sometimes that part gets a little bit complicated to put into action, right? Like they know the theory, So they know this grammar topic goes like this, but whenever you put them into a situation where they have to apply it, and you know, like, we're talking about present, we're talking about description, they don't know that they have to do a sentence with verb to be, for example. And they know how to construct the sentence and everything, but whenever you put them into doing their own until certain level, they start doing it, and still it gets really complicated. So that's why we use these classroom assessment techniques that are going to be helping us get to that point, like get the opportunities for them to apply, to perform the knowledge that we are sharing, and also to develop these other skills that are so important nowadays. Their critical thinking, their creative thinking, that they know what is it that we are talking about, but how can they put it in different words? How can they get it into their own context, right? That is what we do with knowledge and skills. In terms of attitudes, values, and self-awareness, which for me gets to a really, really important point, because again, we are asked to cover all the knowledge and the skills. Like, that's what we are asked to do. Like, our administrators want results in terms of that. But they are not always asking for results in these terms. So it has happened to me. We just put it away, right? Like, okay, I need to focus on what they need to do. So I'm just going to move forward and that's it. But what about this part? So these classroom assessment techniques are going to be helping us to include these as well. So we can work on their awareness of their attitudes and values, self-awareness as learners. Like, I am Rosie learning this with this teacher. So what am I doing for this to happen? Because sometimes we never ask them that question. They never get the chance to ask themselves that question. And then we get to points where they are saying like, no, he doesn't know because you don't do your job, right? Yeah, okay, but how is the process working? Is it actually a process, or is it just a one-way thing that you're expecting to work? Because we know that's not going to happen. So their self-awareness as learners, what is it that they are doing and how is it that they are doing it? And their study skills, strategies, and behaviors towards what they are learning, what they are investing their time in. Attitudes, values, and self-awareness. And finally, reaction to instruction. I was telling you at the beginning, like, no, this is what they have. They need to work with it. Yeah, I mean, we are great teachers. That's for sure. But we are not always the greatest teacher for that specific student, right? So that, what is it that we can do differently? And that self-evaluation that we need to do is also good to have it from them, right? What is it that they are feeling? How is it that they are feeling towards what we're doing? So they also need to have these techniques in terms of teachers teaching the way you're doing it, and the class activities, assignments, materials. I did one of these activity one time, and I was with high schoolers, and I was so excited with my activities, right? And I was completing and everything. So we finished, and I said, do you like it? Do you like it? And we did this technique that I'm going to tell you about later. And they said like, yeah, it was good. Did you have fun? Yeah, we did. And what is it that you didn't like? Right? So, you know, it was like too childish. Then I was like, what do you mean? For little kids? No, it was not for little kids. Like, I designed it for you. Yeah, but it was like you were extremely happy. Extremely happy for this type of activity. And then I'm like, how can you be extremely happy? Is that even possible? But it is, right? And we need to listen to them. Like, we cannot just say, no, I'm okay in happiness. I'm not extremely happy. Now, if they feel like that's too much, like they are not feeling comfortable, we need to listen to them and we need to adapt, right? That's important. And that is part of classroom assessment as well. Okay, so we are going to be checking some techniques and classroom assessment. But first, how are we doing? Let me read you. How are we doing in terms to what we are talking right now? Okay, all right. So, all right, okay. So how are we doing? Remember, use the temperature check. Use red or yellow or green. I'm going to wait a little bit here. Okay. All right, we have, okay, we have a couple of questions, all right? So this is talking, right? So I'm going to be reading your questions. I'm sorry if I missed some, but if there are more, I'm pretty sure that my helper here is going to be having them ready by the end of the workshop, okay? All right. Oh, Pamela says, it's not a question, but she says, we evaluate the results through games in preschool, for example, and they don't even know that we are evaluating them. Exactly. So we are checking their progress. We are assessing. We are not giving them a grade. We are not telling them, yeah, you did great, you did wrong, you know, you don't know. We are simply getting to a point of understanding how is it that this is working for them, right? Individually. So maybe for this student it's working pretty well, but for this other student, it isn't working that well. So what are our next steps? That is what we do when we assess. We check our next steps and we move on, right? Very good. Okay, Marina, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, says, how about assessing different types of learners? And that's important. We are going to have our classroom full of different types of learners. Right? We are going to be having so many, probably each of them is going to be different, because even when I'm visual and my sister is visual, the way in which I integrate my visual learning type with my musical type, for example, is going to be different to the one she does with her visual and logical mathematical. So how do we do it to assess all of them at the same time? Well, we cannot always assess at the same time, but we can mix up what we're doing. And that is something that we are going to mention later as well. Like, okay, I do this writing technique right now. Then I do this speaking technique. Then I'm going to have this other game. Then I'm going to have this other activity. Then this other assignment. So those are going to be the ways in which we are going to be integrating all the different learning types that we have in our classroom. We cannot do it at the same time, but we can vary. So all of them can be addressed at some point into what we are doing. If you are asking how to assess in terms of determining, right? Well, we need to first observe and also, care about what they like. That's important. When we are assessing, we're supposed to listen to them. What is it that they are requesting from you? What is it that they are requiring for the process to go in the right way, in the right path? So we need to listen. We need to know who they are. Right? Okay. All right. So let's see. Alina says, oh, nice to read you. Alina, I'm glad that you're here. For them, it's not usual. They see it as preschool teacher emotions. It happened to me. Exactly. Like not being so happy, right? But again, you need to listen. You need to listen. If they do believe it's like too much happiness, like it's not like you're not going to be happy or expressive anymore, but we can still like go through the process with them. So maybe today we're going to do it this way. This other day we're going to get more excited. This other day we can get like a little bit more serious. So they go in a balance of path, right? Okay, very good. So I am reading green, so we can continue. That's great. All right, so I don't know if you're getting bored. I hope you aren't, but still we have gotten to a time for an energizer. So we are going to be participating in a challenge. All right, so before we go into the techniques, so you can know some of them, we are going to be participating in this energizer. All right, so we are going to complete, each of us is going to complete a challenge. Where are you going to find the challenges? In the description. And also we are going to be sharing the link with you in the chat. Remember, this is a word wall activity. So we are going to be opening an external link so you can get your challenge. I always say that whenever we ask something to our students, we need to do it first. So I'm going to perform my challenge first. So I would like you to please write in the chat one number from 1 to 16, any number. And the first number that we get is going to be the challenge that I'm going to perform. You are going to do your challenge. I know I can't see you, but please do it so you can have this energy and we can continue with the workshop. And whenever you do it and whenever you finish, you're going to report in the chat what was the challenge that you got. How are you going to report it? Using the emojis. Okay, so we have one emoji per challenge. You're going to find the different emojis at the beginning of the challenge. So the description of the challenge is going to have these emoji. These emojis, all of them are included in the description. You can take them out of your keyboard or simply copy and paste from the description if you are in a computer. All right. So write any number from 1 to 16 so we can complete the challenge. Okay. So the first number was 8. 8. So remember, this is a word wall. You're checking it right now. And I am going to do challenge number 8. So here we have them. Let's see what is challenge number 8. All right. So this is normally called the 7-second challenge because they are all challenges that you can complete in 7 seconds. Right. So we are going to start with this one that is my challenge, number 8. So let's check what is challenge number 8. All right, so it says name 3 fruit in alphabetical order. Okay, so 3 fruit: banana, strawberry, and watermelon. All right, so 3 fruit in alphabetical order. That was my challenge, really simple. So now you have to complete your challenge. Choose any card, flip it, and do it. All right, and then report in the chat what was the challenge that you got using the emoji. Okay, so in this case, I have to share a watermelon. I'm going to be sharing it right now. All right, very good. So everybody, please complete your challenge. This is the time for an energizer, okay? All right, so complete your challenge. There goes my watermelon in the chat. All right, complete the challenge so that we can continue. Let's read you. All right, okay, very good, very good. Okay, excellent. So remember, flip it, complete your challenge, and then report in the chat what was your challenge. You can report it by using the emoji. Oh, and there is a challenge that you have to write in the chat. So write it in the chat, please. Okay, we see some of you that get the same challenge. All right, okay, so apple, banana, and coconut. That's good. Apple, banana, and strawberry. Apple, banana, and melon. All right, apple, banana, and coconut. All right, okay, so many of you get the fruit one. Okay, what about the rest of you? What do you get? Remember to share the emoji. I see one of the countries. I remember about that challenge. Okay, very good. Apple and coconut. Okay, shout teacher 10 times. Did you do it? I hope you have. All right, apple, banana, and coconut. All right, grapefruit, mandarin, oranges. Okay, good. That's good. Okay, number 4. Do you kiss your fingers? You know, they deserve love too. Very good. Okay, all right, black. Okay, so you got the 3 colors that are not in the rainbow. Okay, that's good, that's good. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Oh, cars. All right, the movies from Disney. Okay, that's good. The countries. The selfie. Do you take a selfie? Right now with your hair the way it is, it's okay. Very good. Challenge 7. All right, gray, okay. Okay, did you pretend that you were swimming? Do you know how to swim? All right, very good. Okay, thank you. So that was the challenge, right? The first challenge, so you can have the energy and you can be ready. All right, so going back to what we were talking about, classroom assessment. We are getting feedback from our students, and this is happening throughout our class, maybe at the end, maybe at the beginning, maybe in the middle. It doesn't matter when, but it happens when we are with them. So we can analyze it later and then have another session to respond and to close this cycle. We planned first, then we implemented. What do we do next? We analyze, and finally, we respond. That is the process for classroom assessment. And what are the characteristics of classroom assessment? They are going to think about the students. We are going to be doing it learner-centered. We are going to direct it. It's going to be beneficial for your students and for you. We are going to be having a formative process with classroom assessment. We have it context specific, so we design it for this class, for this group, right? For this student even. So we do it context specific. We have no time limits or time frames. We want to do it right now. We want to do it at the beginning and at the end. We want to do it with 2 days ahead. We want to do it every single day. So we don't have any time frames. So the point is that they are effective, right? That is what we need to know and what we need to have in mind. Okay, so now we are going to talk about these CAT, right? So the classroom assessment techniques. These are the CATs. So we are going to get 10 examples, 1 per each, okay? Do you dance salsa? All right, imaginary salsa. Okay, that's good. All right, very good. So we are going to be getting these 10 CATs, right? Each of them is related to a different point. And remember, these are just examples, which means you can apply them in whichever way possible. And that's why we get creative. That's the magic of being a teacher, don't you think? Like you get this, but you don't necessarily need to do it like that. You can modifying according to your students and according to what you like to, right? That's important. Okay, so the first one is called focused listing. Focus listing. So what are you going to do? Here we have an example. We ask our students to write a list that contains 5 to 7 items. They can be more, they can be less. You decide. And in this example, we are asking them to describe or define what a motivated student does, right? So that's focus listed. We are going to be having a topic, or we are going to have this important thing that we are discussing, not necessarily a knowledge related topic, but maybe a life related topic, an ethics related topic. And we are going to ask them to list, right? To list, we decide the number of words that are related to what we are discussing. So let's do this one. That's the first one. Describe or define what a motivated student does. It's a list of 5 to 7 words. Remember. So let's do it in the chat. That's the first one. We are talking about a motivated student. In your opinion, what is it that a motivated student does? In 5 to 7 words. Focus listing. That is what you are asking and what you are applying as your classroom assessment technique. 5 to 7 words. Focus listing. What does a motivated student do? All right, so I'm going to be waiting a little so you can write your listing in the chat. Focus listing, that's the name of this technique. You write any amount of words related to this topic. So that's what you're going to be asking your students to do. All right. Okay, so please list. 5 to 7 words that are going to describe or define what a motivated student does. Okay, what a motivated student does. Whenever a student is motivated, what does he or she do? Okay, so we have asks questions, reads, and writes. Okay, those are 4 words, but it's okay. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. What else? What does a motivated student do? In 5 to 7 words. Participates in class, helps others, shows improvement, enjoys learning. Okay. All right. Just remember that we are talking about words. So maybe we can, whenever we are delivering our instruction, it's important that we are clear in terms of words or phrases because that's going to vary. Right? But that's good. That's good. Very good. Have fun, participate, work, follow instructions, practice, summarize diagram. Okay, so we are talking about motivated students, right? Okay, participate, ask questions, pay attention, attentive, curious. Okay, participates, works, respects, reads, speaks, learns. They always want to participate in class. All right, well, this is a sentence, right? Not a list. So remember, in focus listing, you want them to list, right? So only a list. All right, very good. Smiles, that's important, very good. Participates, pays attention, feels comfortable, motivates others, improves. Very good. Sings, participates, speaks, dances, gives an opinion. Have fun, work, learn, improve, participate, excited, punctual, helpful. Very good. Interacts, learns, demonstrates that is happy, asks questions, wants to share what he or she knows, does some jokes. Okay. All right. Participates, improves, enjoys, smiles. Okay. I'm sorry if I missed some because they are moving a little bit fast. But thank you everyone for participating. Attention, learn, participate, help others, happy. All right. Okay. So this is focus listing. Remember, we need to be really clear in instructions, right? Right now, I only said list 5 to 7 words, right? In the instruction here, it said or phrases. That's good. List, right? Not a sentence, right? But a list, right? Phrases or words that are going to describe or define what a motivated student does, right? Okay, very good. So that's focus listing. So how can you apply this focused listing in your class? In terms of a topic, right? In terms of any other thing that is not necessarily a topic, right? So, okay, so let's do the list of how we're feeling, right? Let's do a list of what we learned last week. Let's do a list of how your weekend was. Let's do a list, right? Any list that they can share, and then they can read it, or they can interchange, or they can simply send it, or maybe you can create a word cloud with those ones, right? You decide. The activities and how you're going to apply them are going to vary, but the main technique is focus listing, right? Very good. Okay, we have the second one, pro and con grid, right? So in this one, you're not only asking them to list. Yes, they are going to still list with words or phrases, but they are going to be analyzing. What are the pros and the cons of certain issue, right? Of certain topic, of certain practice. The pros and the cons, right? So what are going to be those affirmative or positive things that are going to work towards that, or what are going to be the negative things that are going to work in regards to that one, right? So that's the pro and con grid. Mostly you do it, of course, in a chart, right? In a chart, but they can speak it too. Like, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Right? So that is an example. What is it that you believe is going to be something pro and con about it? Right? So we are going to do this one. Is agreed, right? But remember, we are talking in the chat. So what do you think are going to be only one pro and one con of classroom assessment in regards to what we have discussed, right? So what could be one pro and one con about classroom assessment? Only one. So think about one pro and one con about classroom assessment, and you can share it in the chat. All right, so I have more words here. They are going to be punctual, responsible, participate, ask, think, work, participation, interaction, share, play, okay? Inquires, positive, laugh, shares, attention, cooperative. All right, very good. Okay, participate, research, self-study, improve, smile, learn. Okay, participate, shares, collaborates. Okay, all right, now we are changing to one negative and one positive aspect about classroom assessment, in your opinion. So that will be the pros and the cons grid, right? So remember, we can do it in many different ways, especially now that we are not having papers to give them or anything. You can do, a slide in which you include this chart and they can complete it, or you can do it in any of the interactive presentations that we have now, like a Menti or a Word Wall or a Bamboozle, right? Anything like that you have them participating with. Okay. All right, so the pro and the con grid. So what is one thing that we can have as positive and one thing that we can have as negative of classroom assessment? That is analyzing what we're doing, right? We are going to have the presentation. Okay, so everybody's going to have the presentation after we finish. Okay, we have one pro. Students can rely more with the teacher, course, or new topics. Con, the students get nervous and they don't do their best. Okay, we can measure how they are doing and how we are doing our work. They can give you their ideas from their point of view. Teacher receives feedback. It isn't always accurate. That's important, right? If we are talking about teacher's instruction, for example, it isn't always going to be accurate. We cannot say that it won't be accurate, like never accurate, but it isn't always accurate because, some students are just going to do it not with the best attitude, let's say, but that is also something that you're going to assess, right? So, okay, this student has these certain issues participating, he doesn't like it or she doesn't like it that much. So what is it that I can do so that next time he tries to be the most honest with his feedback, right? Or with her feedback. All right. Encourage students and the time in virtual classes. That's really important in virtual classes. We get to a point of saying, no, I cannot do any other activity. I have to finish my book. I have to finish my content. I need to have them advanced in what we need to learn, right? So the time can get as, a challenge sometimes. Very good. There are a lot of pages that we can use to assess, and we can have some internet issues, so the time could work towards us as well. Okay, the class can be extended and they get bored if everybody's talking, all right? Yeah, that's something true. If we ask one by one and they're all sharing it, speaking or in a spoken manner, they can be okay, let's continue with the next one. So maybe you can just create exit tickets, right? So they can send a sentence or they can send their idea really fast. They don't need to say it and everybody waiting for them to say, because that could be also going to a point of they not wanting to say the truth, right? Or not having the trust to say it because somebody could say, oh no, that's not true, or they could not agree with them, right? So it's better if they do it anonymously, for example, and then in the response session, you can get to share what everybody said, right? Creates more or stronger teacher-student relationship. Okay, and something negative could be time management. Okay, very good. Improve learning. That's right. Okay, excellent. So that's the pro and con grid. So you're going to be asking them, right? You're going to be asking them, what is it that they are doing? I had forgotten about this. Sorry. Very good. Excellent. Okay. Thank you for participating here. All right. It can be useful to teach better since you take into account the results and analyze them. Different learning styles and multiple intelligences could be complicated to standardize the assessment. Exactly. That's important. And that's really a key point. Assessment is never going to be standardized, right? So that's why we get to understand as a difference with evaluation too, right? Assessment is going to be individualized. So you're going to be designing it according to what they need. And that's what you're going to be playing, as I was telling with the previous question, right? You're going to be playing with what you're doing. You're going to be playing with how you're approaching so that they can all be covered, right? All the different intelligences or learning styles can be covered at some point, but they cannot be standardized, because if we standardize it, then we would have it only as an evaluation, right? To report results. That's it. And that's not the point of classroom assessment, right? We don't want to standardize it. We don't want to report the results. We want to check it, analyze it, share it, and find a solution or construct this great environment altogether. Okay, we have cat number 3. One sentence summary. So that's important. They are going to have the chance to do their sentence. It's going to be a long sentence, of course, but they are going to be this sentence doing this sentence to answer to these questions. Who does what, to whom, when, where, how, and why. Right, so they are going to be asked all these questions and answered in one sentence. Of course, it's going to be, a complex sentence, but who does what, to whom, when, where, how, and why. So please create your sentence about classroom assessment. Who does what, to whom, where, when, how, and why. We are talking about classroom assessment. So the what is, of course, going to be classroom assessment. So that answer, you have it. We need to work on the rest of the question words. Who, when, where, how, and why. You have the answers to all of them. So let's see what you can come up with. Remember, it's a sentence, right? Only a sentence. So think about this sentence. Answer the questions. Who, what, you know it because it's classroom assessment. When, where, how, and why. Okay, let's continue. All right, we have many online resources that we can use and that our students are going to have it or feel it more interactive, and it's going to be a little bit faster. Very good. It challenges our creativity and it always takes more time, although it's part of giving the extra mile. Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah. Giving the extra mile. That's important. We want to understand this because there is so much more to do than simply sharing the content, right? You can share the content. Not everybody can share the content. I'm not going to say that, but like we can share the content because we know it, but what else do we do? That would be the question, right? Okay, so think about it. Like what, to whom, where, when, how, and why. And write it in a sentence, right? So who does what? Classroom assessment. We know who, to whom, where, when, how, and why. Okay, so answer the question and, well, all the question words and answer them in the chat. All right. So imagine if you take your time to think about your answer, how are your students going to react to these challenges? Because, the point is also that we challenge every single student, right? Even the one that is like always participating and always having fun and always excited about the class, because we have those ones, but they need to be challenged too, right? We cannot just assume, okay, he's going to know, she's going to know, right? They are going to know. Like, we need to give them activities so that they're, entertained, excited. Like, they don't know exactly what is coming next. And that's the surprise, right? That we can get like that factor that are going to get them more motivated. All right. So in the meantime, you're thinking about your your sentence. All right. So we have one, that is correct, but that is not about classroom assessment, because the point was it to be about classroom assessment, right? But yeah, it's okay. So Jose helps Ross every Sunday in the office in a polite way because he loves her. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's a good sentence in terms of construction, but like the what was supposed to be classroom assessment. Right? But it's okay. It's okay. Rosie instructs other teachers all the time, now virtually, in every engaging manner, because she wants the best of them for their students. Yeah, that's true. That's great. Exactly. Again, it was about classroom assessment, but it's fine. It's fine. The thing is that you're participating, and I like that. So very good. We were supposed to think about one about classroom assessment. That's a serious problem. Like, whenever you give an instruction and your students don't get it that well, problem, assessment for me. So you can get the instructions a little bit more clearly. But it was like the what was classroom assessment. Students share their thoughts, feelings, knowledge about the lesson in class to the teacher to improve and adapt what is necessary. Very good. Classroom assessment will help students to know how they can improve and also what they are doing great. Assessment is when we give feedback in our classes in a creative and motivated way to know how much they have learned about the topic. Okay, very good. All right, so remember, for you to know if your sentences were correct, you need to check that you answered all the questions. Who does what to whom, where, when, how, and why. Right, that's how it works. Okay, very good to everyone who's participating. Thank you so much. I know that you're thinking about your sentence. Maybe that's why you're taking a little bit longer, but you can still think about it. Okay, all right, so these were the three that we were going to practice. Now I'm going to continue only by explaining the following ones, because if not, like, we could be here a little bit longer. All right, so what are the following techniques that we have? Problem recognition tasks. That's number 4. You can ask your students to recognize problems, match the type with the example, or name the problem type. That is what you do, right? You are going to be asking them to solve problems. And there are problems in so many ways that we can present to them. It doesn't have to be like an actual problem. It can be a problem related to the topic, a problem related to the class, a problem related to how English is working in the environment. Right? So any problem that you can present to them is going to be useful so that they work in this ability, problem solving. What is it and how is it that they can solve certain issue that you're presenting to them? So problem recognition tasks. That's another cat that is good for problem solving skills. Let me see if you wrote more sentences. The teacher asked Luis to pay attention during the English class in the classroom. He did it politely because he really wanted Luis to learn. Okay, very good. We have to be really determined and excited helping others in different kinds of classroom assessment. All right, good. Really nice, guys. Okay, so this is number 4, right? Problem solving tasks. So you're going to be giving them this problem, and now they have to recognize it and they have to go beyond, right? Okay, this is a problem. What is the type? Are we going to match it to certain characteristic, to certain example? How is it that we are going to do it? Number 5, application cards. Of course, the cards are symbolic because nowadays we don't have actual cards, but they can be, Padlet, text boxes, or they could be a slide per student. You decide. The point is, what are they going to be doing in these application cards? And this is really important at some point for them to be able to visualize how is it that it works in the real world. In these application cards, they are going to be thinking about examples of the real world, how to apply this content that they are receiving, how to apply this principle, how to apply this theory, how to apply this procedure. Right? So how am I going to apply it in my real world, in my daily basis? How is it that I'm going to apply it so that I can visualize it? Because sometimes we get the questions, and what is this useful for? Why do we need to learn this? You know, maybe they are right. There are things that we need to teach and that at some point they don't get to see how is it that that's useful. But whenever we do these application cards, they get the opportunity to think, to discuss about how can this be applied in the real world, right? According to different situations. Everyday ethical dilemma. Every day, that's important, right? So this is a cat that you can apply every morning, for example. So you give them this quote, or you give them this case, or you give them this situation that this person lived. And what are they going to do with that? Well, they are going to respond and they are going to propose, right? What is it that they have done differently? What is it that they would do, right? So maybe you explain this is the situation, that's it. So you want them to say how would they react to it? Or you explain what this other person did and you ask them what would they do differently? Right? Ethical dilemma. And that's important for their attitudes, for their values, so they can speak about other things, right? You know, I always say that whenever we are teaching English, we need to understand that it is not only about teaching them how to speak or teaching them how to read or how to listen or understand what they are listening, but understanding, like helping them understand that everything that they like and everything that they love exists in this language. So if it exists, it means that they can also love the language, right? And that's something that we forget. Okay, we need to talk about the class. We need to talk about everything that we are concerned about. But what is it that we are concerned about? We are concerned about everything. If they want to speak about music, let's do it, but in English. If they want to watch a movie, of course, we maybe don't have time to watch the whole movie, but we can watch something, right? As long as it is in English, because that's what they like. And that's something that can help them feel motivated and to develop that connection with the language. So ethical dilemma. What do you think about beauty? That's a good question, right? So what do I think about beauty? Oh, I think this, I think that. I believe this is seen in this way, but for me, that's important. Ethical dilemma. Of course, maybe you're asking to yourself, oh, but these activities sound like they are for advanced students. Well, they are not necessarily for advanced students. The thing is that we need to be capable of applying them for each level, right? In different ways, of course. For an advanced student, they can say their whole opinion from their heart. But from a beginner student, for example, they could have options. So we are working only in reading comprehension. So from these three options, what will you choose to do, right? From this ethical dilemma. Okay, so that was for a beginner student. And then for an advanced student, no options. Simply say what comes from your mind, from your heart. Right? That's, again, the magic of teaching. You're going to apply it and to put it into context. Another one, focus autobiographical sketches. This is important. They are going to be talking about a successful learning experience they had so that they let you know how they felt, so that they tell you how the process went for them. Because maybe for you, the class was beautiful, everyone participated, everyone understood because you said, do you have questions? No, you don't. No, they said. Do you need more examples? No, they said. Okay, so everything was beautiful. You believe, right? But how was that beautiful for them? Listening or reading to what worked for them and made that class beautiful, that's important. Because then we can recognize, okay, this is what I need to do with them. This is what they are going to react the best to. So that is how we are assessing. Right? We check what they think, what they believe, how they feel towards what we're doing, which is important. Productive time logs. This gets complicated, but it's really helpful when we get our students motivated to do it. The majority of us know, and especially if we are studying and also teaching and doing other activities, that at some point we get tired. We get frustrated. We don't want to do anything anymore. So if that happens to us, that we are adults, we know our priorities, and we know that we have to do it. Imagine our students. Like, they get sad, they get tired, they get frustrated, and they simply don't want to do it, right? And what are we doing so that they want to do it again? Right? If we don't help them, they are not going to do it in any way, right? So these productive study time logs could work. So you tell them, okay, you're going to be doing this, right, for extra credit, or we're going to be having a winner at the end of the unit, or whatever, right? So they can count their time and say, okay, I'm going to take 10 minutes a day for English lessons, right? So I'm going to take or invest 10 minutes a day to do something in English. And they have to report only the proof, right? So what will be the proof? Okay, taking a screenshot from the song that they listened to, taking a screenshot from the tweets they were reading in English, taking a screenshot, right? That's also assessing their productive study time, what they are taking to study. Well, reading tweets, it's not studying, Rosie. It's going into social media. Yeah, but if their tweets are in English, of course that's studying. They are being having this reception to the language. So they are studying. That works, right? That they do it because they want to, not because you're telling them to go and do it, because probably in that way it wouldn't work that well. So productive study logs, those are good ones too. Survey feedback. So why not to ask them, how do you feel? How do you feel overall? Do you think this and that looks good into these and those parameters? So your teacher was prepared from 1 to 10. How do you think? The activities were fun from 1 to 10. How do you think? The explanation is clear from 1 to 10. What do you think? Right, so you get feedback, and then they are going to be honest, especially if we get them the chance to be anonymous. That's important too, because if you tell them to do it, there are some students that are still going to be like afraid of you, like taking some actions in regards to what they wrote or what they chose. So these survey feedbacks could be anonymous, right? So they tell you the truth. Of course, not everything is going to be accurate, as some of you said, but we need to trust them, because assessment is also going to be based on trust. You trust that what they are saying is true, and that what you're saying is also true. They trust that, right? And the last one will be the RSQC2. So recall, summarize, question, connect, and comment. Right, so this one is just like the one that you did in one sentence summary, but in this one, they are going to be creating some statements, not just one, but some statements for recalling, summarizing, also to question what was presented, to connect to real life, and to develop their own comment, their own opinion about what they learned or what they discussed. Okay? All right, so these were the 10 cats that I needed to share with you. I wanted to share with you. You're going to be getting links to more cats in this presentation. At the end of it, you're going to be getting more so that you can have those ideas. So how are we doing? Are you falling asleep? I hope you aren't, because we are about to finish with this workshop. I appreciate that you're participating and that you are, taking notes because we need to share them at the end. Remember about that. So how are we doing? Please write it in the chat. Remember to use a temperature check. Do you have questions? Do you have comments? Something that you would like to add? Please write it in the chat. If not, just write your status. Are you red? Are you yellow? Or are you green? How are you doing? Okay, let's see. That's important. To the person in the account Autismo Petén, of course. And that's, as we were saying, right? The magic of this being directed to your context, oriented to who you're working with, so you can adapt to those needs. Very good. Excellent. Okay, very good. I said green and somebody added a kiwi. You rock, Salome. That's great. Okay, very good. Excellent. So we are doing green. That's good. We're doing green. So we are about to finish. Let me conclude it for you. This is where we are stopping and landing this topic. What do we do with classroom assessment? Well, first, we keep it as real world relevant as possible. Remember, everything that happens inside your classroom has to be relevant, has to be meaningful, and you're going to be connecting to your students, to your real environment, to your context. So make sure to remember about that. Sometimes we read activities, we read ideas, and we say, yeah, I'm going to do this. But we don't take the time to think about our students. How is it that they are going to be reacting? Is this actually going to work in the way you're thinking, or does it need to be modified? So that's the first thing. Make instructions clear and easy to follow. Don't be like Rosie, because you guys didn't understand some of my instructions, but you did great. Thank you so much for your participation. So make instructions really clear, easy to follow. Make sure that they know exactly what to do and what you're expecting from them. Motivate students to set goals and improve their skills. As I was telling you at the beginning, teaching is a cycle. We need to have our students motivated. They need to feel happy with what they are doing so that we can also have that attitude, right? So we can also feel motivated and we can also be happy. Of course, it's your job, you love it, you want to do it that way every single day, but it doesn't happen like that if you get to a classroom where your students are like, no, please kill me. I don't want to see her anymore. That's not what we want. We want them to say, yay, English, let's go, right? Let's do fun things. So help them to feel motivated so that they can have their own goals and they want to improve because they really desire to do it, right? That's what we need to accomplish. Ask yourself why and how before starting. Remember, the first step is to plan. So when we are planning, we are asking ourselves, why am I going to do this? Why do they need it? How can I implement it? Right? We're planning. Don't skip that step. Always ask yourself. Mix it up. Think about variations. Look for choices. Do things that are going to apply at some point at all multiple intelligences, at all learning styles, at every single student, right? Maybe this student really likes music, so why don't you do something with music one day? This other student doesn't like English at all, but he likes sports. Okay, do something in English related to sports, right? Like not only the multiple intelligences and learning styles are going to tell you like where to go, you need to know them. You need to know what they are going to react the best to so you can plan your lessons and of course, every single classroom assessment technique towards that. Remember your main goal, orienting lifelong learners with a growth mindset. That's what we want, that they feel motivated, that they know they can do it, that they learn from their mistakes and move on. That is what we do with our classes. We teach English, yes, but being a teacher is more than simply managing the content you're delivering. is going, as you were saying in the chat, the extra mile and understanding that we are in our students' lives for a reason. So make sure to leave your fingerprint there, like in the right way, not in the wrong way. And finally, be authentic and request for authenticity. If you do great things, you're going to get great results. If you don't do so great, you're not going to get so great results. So be authentic, be yourself, show your students what you have to offer so that they feel comfortable enough to show everything that they have to offer to. All right, so you apply classroom assessment because you really care about learning, because it provides you with just-in-time feedback and allows you to identify and modify teaching and learning purposes. Classroom assessment provides insights about students, helps them feel less anonymous. Never allow your students to feel anonymous. Doesn't matter how many students you have, you can learn them all. Take the time, know their names, know what they like. That's important. Become better motivators of their own learning and portrays the process as it is, one of inquiry, experimentation, and reflection. We experiment every single day inside our classrooms. We reflect and we ask them to be motivated, to be lighted up so that the learning process is effective and, of course, is full of love, which is what we need. All right, so please do this last get with me. Is the little checklist. In this workshop, so do a check if you believe it's true. Clarify the term assessment, understood its main purposes, discovered some cats, made a connection to my real context, and participated in some cats. So those were the ends in mind at the beginning of this workshop. I hope that we had achieved them together. How are we doing? Please do the last temperature check with me. Thank you so much for your attention, and make sure to add your notes to the folder that we are going to be sharing in the chat right now. Because at the end, your inferences are making this workshop more enrichment. So thank you so much for your attention and for your participation today. This was all from me, and we are going to be having more instructions and also questions, if there are others, with our technical helper here. So thank you so much, and I wish you the best. Do everything with love. You can do it better every single day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosie, for this valuable information provided to all of the participants throughout the conference. Before we continue, I would like to share a little bit about Rosie Lopez by reading her biography. Rosie Lopez, profesora de enseñanza media en idioma inglés with studies in linguistics of the English language, phonology in action and social skills, all through Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala and Escuela de Formación y Medios Didácticos del STEI. Teacher Assistant at Sección de Idiomas, Facultad de Humanidades, Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala, teacher of English as part of the private and public programs in Guatemala, and recently with the online methodology, teaching people in Central America, Peru, Chile, Ecuador, and other Latin American countries. Awarded with Galardón Más Allá del Deber by Municipalidad de Guatemala, Reconocimiento a la Excelencia Académica del Estudiante Universitario by USAC, and Premio Centroamericano y Regional Rubén Darío a la Excelencia Académica. She has been a speaker at FILWA, TTS, and TTS Regional, UDEO, and other private institutions. Her dream is to see Guatemala providing accessible bilingual education for all, but she is well aware change starts within oneself. She loves teaching as she believes that's her call, so even when it gets really tough, she continues striving to be her best self. As that's the least her students deserve, in her own words, A person who is committed in their improvement and who can as well share some of the passion so that it grows in their own heart. Her motto is nothing exists if it's through love. Well, Rosie, I think that you already answered all the questions. So I'm going to read some of the comments that I found in the chat. The first one is that classroom assessments are done by a teacher when students need motivation in the class through different strategies because he or she needs to check students' learning process. The second one is that growth mindset is very important. Another comment says that everything has to have a purpose. And we have some comments for you, Rosie. I think that, as always, you did a great job. And it says, thank you for sharing with us your knowledge. This workshop was so interesting. Another comment says, I like your attitude. And the last one says, great presentation. So thank you so much, Rosie, because you took the time for solving all the doubts that they had. And I think that we are about to finish. Well, the TTS program is sponsored by the United States Embassy AGEDE, and with the support Sección de Idiomas and Facultad de Humanidades has developed 3 manuals with material that you might find interesting and useful. The links were already shared through the YouTube channel. You may download the manuals in this moment. Please don't forget to fill the attendance form. Remember, it will be only available for 15 minutes after the conference ends. Also remember that the diplomas will be available on June the 12th, 2021. Thank you so much for your participation in this conference. We invite you to follow our transmissions on these 3 days of TTS 2021. Have a nice evening.